Hey there. Listen, I wanted to show you something that I've been tinkering with since yesterday, munging together a bunch of audio files, using Open Interpreter. This is sort of similar to something I did a few weeks ago. I did a video on taking a video file. It was actually a Zoom meeting that had a series of segments that I wanted to extract out. And I used Open Interpreter to set some markers, extract out these segments, munge them all together, strip out the audio, and then transcribe them. There are a lot of steps there. But what I want to do here is a slightly more simple case, but really it's kind of the reverse. I have a bunch of audio files that I want to munge together. I want to add a little bit of a spacer, a couple second gap in between each of them, save them as a single file in a particular location. I'm going to use Open Interpreter to do this for me so that I don't have to use any other audio software. So let me give you a little bit of context here real quick, just to sort of understand why I'm going down this path, why I'm doing this right now. I'm on a sabbatical right now, and I'm digging into all things AI. My normal day job is in IT, though I've been doing that for like 27 years. And but on the side, I am a mixed digital media artist. I actually have a degree in sculpture from 100 years ago. But while I've been on this sabbatical, I've been digging deeper into my art and trying to get myself out there and, stuff like that. And I was approached by this, let's just turn this on here, Voyage Austin, which is a magazine that interviews local creators, business people, other kinds of stuff. And, it's not the New Yorker, but it's super appreciative to have somebody who's interested in my work. And so I was interviewed by them. My interview's not out here yet, but I thought that I would take the text of the interview and drop it onto my blog, just so I can share that around. And once I did that, I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to actually have an audio version of this as well? And full disclosure, I didn't want to just read the article. That's not particularly interesting. But since I've been digging into all this AI stuff, I thought, why don't I use my own AI cloned voice to go and read this for me, right? So I popped over to 11 Labs, which has a whole bunch of tools for cloning your own voice or using other voices, and so on. And I just cut and pasted all of the text from this interview into here, and I generated a whole bunch of audio files.
Immediately swept up into the tech world. Nobody knew what could be done or how.
So that's my clone voice. That's pretty close. And additionally, I also wanted to do something different with this stuff here, right? So we've got these category headers, we have the questions that are asked and my responses. I wanted to use different voices for each of these, right? So I got some dude for this part, some woman who's asking me the questions, and then I use my clone voice for all the rest. And so what I ended up with, if I can get over to it here, is a whole bunch of these individual files.
Your story.
Right? There's the headers. There's the question that goes along with it.
Can you briefly walk us through your story, how you started, and how you got to where you are today?
Right. And then, of course, all of my responses. And so what I ended up doing is using Open Interpreter. Well, let's fix that. Open Interpreter to be able to take all of these different chunks. I went through and I grabbed, say, the header, the category header, and then the question that was associated with it.
Can you briefly walk us through?
And then my responses to all of those.
I graduated from Syracuse.
Right. And I munged those together and put together a series of aggregated audio files for each of the different sections. I think there was actually probably a couple other ones that weren't particularly interesting. So I just grabbed these. And so my final step is to munge all of these guys together. So let me just show you this real quick just to prove.
Your story.
Header.
Can you briefly walk us through your story?
Question.
How you started and how you got to where you are today?
I graduated from
My
Syracuse
response.
University in
Right? And so I have these for each of the different sections. And so what I want to do is create this singular file of the entire interview and then save it over here. So I'm not going to back up and redo all of these things, but I'm just going to save this final step here to show you how I did that. So first off, if you're not familiar with Open Interpreter, now Open Interpreter is an open source project that allows you to be able to execute or run code that was generated by a language model. So language models, whether it's GPT 4, 3.5 Turbo, Claude, Llama 2, like they're really great at generating code. They can write code. They can show you the code, but they can't run it, at least not natively. So what you end up doing is having to copy and paste the code that's been generated into something else that can go and run it. So like as an example, you could ask ChatGPT to generate a website or create code for a website or a game or something like that, but it can't actually show you the website or allow you to play the game. It'll just show you the code. So what OpenAI did for ChatGPT several months ago is create this new feature for it, provided you have a ChatGPT Pro subscription. It allows you to be able to have this ability to be able to have the model generate some code, stream it into this advanced analytics component, and have it execute it. But one of the limitations it has is that it just runs within ChatGPT alone, right? It doesn't have access to other computers or your own computer for that matter. And so what Open Interpreter does is it allows you to be able to install something locally. It has access to language models in the cloud, or you could even set it up so that it's all running locally, but it gives you access to the language models to generate the code, streams it down into your local file system effectively, and it gives you access to whatever documents or files that you have on your system, right? Or for me to be able to access my audio files here that I want to stitch together, right? So these can be also any documents, spreadsheets, images, even other programs could be accessed. So this is super powerful to be able to have a language model write some code for you, have something on your computer that can go and execute it and do stuff, actually do things. So let's give that a try. But to run it, you just type in interpreter and then it'll kick it off. I'm going to use this -y flag at the end of it, which basically tells it every time it comes back with a question, assume I said yes. The way interpreter normally works, if I just hit enter here, is that it will say, I would add a prompt that says, can you help me do X, Y, and Z? It will return back, sure, no problem. Here's our plan. Step 1, step 2, step 3. Do you want to run this plan? And you type yes. And then it comes back with, okay, well, here's some code. For step 1, do you want to run this code? Yes. And then so on and so on. Right? Now, normally that sounds a little tedious, but normally you do want to have a look at what it's going to do before it does something on your system. But in our case, we're just going to combine these files. So I'm fine with just letting it rip. Okay, so just hit enter and now it's running. So, okay, let me think, what do I need to add here? Can you help me stitch together several video files? Several. Let's do a series of audio files with a 2-second gap between them. And store the new combined file here. Oops, I forgot my in. Oh well, it'll figure it out. With the file name final.mp3. Here are my files in order. I'll just come over here and drag these guys and drop them there. I'm going to add something to the end of this. Previously, I just threw something like this in. But, you know, I'm going to circle back around to this at the end, but I'm going to add something to this to help nudge it in the right direction. Just because AI can write code doesn't mean that it always writes the correct code. And it also doesn't do things in a 100% consistent way, right? So when I ran this in the past, it occasionally would run things in different ways using different packages or libraries, and sometimes it would fail, and most of the time it worked, but I'm going to give it a little hint here so that we can have it choose the right path. Now, it looks like I'm writing something cryptic here. I don't want that to scare you. I don't know what these things are. Well, I know what they are. They're libraries or packages that do things in Python. But I only know about them because this ran before. And so I just recognize when we used these before. So I'm just trying to help it remember that was the case, that it ran better with using both of those. So, okay, I'm going to hit enter. Cross my fingers. Let's see how we go. Absolutely, I can help with that. Python from Peg are indeed excellent tools. Here's the plan. Step 1, check if the required libraries are installed. If not, I will install them. Then prepare a list of file paths, so on and so forth. Add the 2-second gap. Sometimes it hits these errors, and it should be able to notice that and work around it. But I've noticed that with Open Interpreter, sometimes it kind of gets stuck. So I can gingerly hit Control C, which normally kills a process in a command line or in command line interface. But in this case, it like just nudges it out of its stuckness and it keeps it going. Okay, it appears there was an error, checking, so on and so forth. Already installed. Okay, so it's asking me if I got them, otherwise, you know, if so, we can just proceed. So yes, let's just do this. Oh wait, well, yeah. So it's making a list of all of the audio files. It looks like it's storing them in an array. If you don't know what an array is, it's basically a list. And it's going to circle through all of those. I didn't see it add a 2-second pause, but it looks like it's done. Is that possible? Oh, no, here's the delay. Yep. Great. So what it did was it created the list of all of my files and then basically loop through this list, which means just kind of iterate through each item in the list, and add each as a new segment. Add another segment that is this silent duration of 200 milliseconds, right? So it's telling you here it's 2 seconds of silence, and then it's combining everything up, and then it's going to export it to that directory in the right format. Well, that was good. Why does it appear stuck again? Hit Control C again. If it seems we encountered a problem, there may have been ultimately. I'm gonna hit Command C. Checking this file now. Okay. Let's give it a try. Well, okay, so it's 11 minutes and 37 seconds long. So that's a good sign.
Your story.
Okay.
Can you briefly walk us
Yep.
through your
So
story?
this is the
how you
first one.
started and how you got to where you are today.
Let's see if we can find the next section to see if the sections are, I think it's somewhere around, let's try there.
Our core, we are trying to represent timeless themes, respect best practices and traditions, and at the same time, honor and portray the world as it is today.
It's about to the
Digital art is simply the latest
Of the first
phase of a
section.
long lineage of fine art evolution, only one where humans and the machine may collaborate.
Obstacles and challenges.
That's the
Has
second
it been
one,
a smooth road?
With the 2 second
If not,
pause.
what were some of the
Excellent.
struggles along the way?
What's another section?
I am all for market-driven dynamics, and I'm happy for those who can make a living producing products that resonate with an audience.
I think
But
this is
it
at the
does
end.
present a challenge competing in a much more packed market.
Your work.
I want to know a little more about what do
Okay.
you do and specialize in.
Let's just kind of jump to the end to see if we got the last one. Doo-ba-doo-ba-doo. Should be around here somewhere.
Gave me quality feedback and opened up doors. Again, on collaboration,
Opened up
we
doors.
only succeed by the grace of others, and for that, I am truly grateful.
In our conversation today, we've been privileged to journey through the
That's the last one. That's
multifaceted
the
world of an
closing
artist
thoughts.
who has seamlessly merged the realms of traditional fine art with the ever-evolving digital landscape.
Excellent.
It's been enlightening to understand how the past and present
So there you have it. There's stitched all together. I mean, that was super quick. Yeah. So originally I was going to use some, audio editor, and obviously having an audio editor is going to give you an awful lot more functionality. But this was just quick and easy to do. Thought it was kind of interesting use for this. Now, the thing that I wanted to circle back around to in the end was I mentioned that here at the beginning, I added this little tip, right, to go down this path, because previously it occasionally ran into errors doing something else. The thing about these kinds of tools, they only have so big of a memory, so big of a context window specifically, and so there's only so much you can get it to remember as it's going back and forth with the language model. So effectively, if I were to close this and then reopen it and run it again, it would have no memory of what would happen before, right? So it remembers things so long as I'm still within this session. And every time I rerun it, I could end up going down one of these bad paths. So what I would have it do, if this were a thing that I had to do off and on, or frequently, especially, I would, once I got it to do it right, I would tell it to save out a script, some sort of code that says exactly how to do it, right? So that when I come back around again, I wouldn't just say, can you help me stitch these guys together? I would say something like, can you use this script to go and stitch these files together, or something like that, right? So you want to save the code once you've got it solved, because otherwise it's going to try to do things in potentially different ways every single time it runs. So just a closing thought on that. I hope you thought this was useful or interesting. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Thanks a lot.